Yeah, and thanks for
Mm.
folks for joining. So about myself, this is my third company at Foldspace. I definitely like to kind of write about those strategies and product strategies and help companies really achieve their goals. I do feel that the PLG is now entering an evolution stage called agent-led growth, how AI suddenly changes the game, which we're going to cover today. And thanks, Ramli, for hosting me. Ramli also carries a lot of like really deep background in it. So we love to partner with people that are really solving hard problem for companies. So before we dive in, quick question for you guys, like what would you, in your product, what would be first agentic experience that comes to mind when people just sign up? If you can throw that into the chat, it'll be fantastic.
First agentic experience in your product, what should be the first? The dream scenario. So if you had all the resource in the world, right? You have unlimited engineers, and tech is not your problem. What would you want to be your first agentic experience?
And we're going to double click on this.
Getting started was something Wooder said. Um, Getting started with a product.
Awesome. Agentic, so we're going to cover what is agentic experience and how things we should kind of rethink the way onboarding looks like, adoption, all these stages we are used to from the customer journey. As they hear about you, they sign up, they are trying to figure out what the product is actually doing. We spoke previously in PLG, the aha moments, and all that education stuff that happens, the checklist, the walkthroughs. We are trying to push them to understand the product. And then we have the journey that so they can become champions. We're going to see how this actually plays next. Where are we going from here? The new PLG, the big shift from show me to do it for me. We're going to cover a couple of generative plays. I think that there's a huge unlock for experiments. If you guys have ran experiments in your companies, in the product. Usually it's pretty challenging because especially classic SaaS B2B, it's really hard to run meaningful experiments. You always have like, backlog of features and you can't really take features away. But with agentic interface, this is allowing you to run real experiments, and we're gonna double click into that, covering a couple of moves and making it feel real. So we're gonna actually go through a couple of examples. So the new PLG, as I see it, where PLG kind of solve the access problem, right? We basically say, hey, let's move the sales out of the picture. We're gonna allow them to get the access, but that was the easy part. The hard part is the activation, right? And we are trying to really help them figure out the product, usually sending them into kind of an empty state, trying to kind of show them a couple of videos, but that was not really successful. So I think the big thing now is the shift from in the past, if you remember, it was like, don't tell me, show me your product. People were much more engaged with product that allowed them to test around. But again, in many product that was a little bit more complicated. Now it's do it for me. If I jump into agentic product, AI first product, the first thing I can do is immediately engage with an agent. And I think that's a big unlock when PLG kind of meets AI. You can guide them or allow users to reach the outcomes they're looking for. And it's instead of like show me the product, just have the product do the outcome I'm planning to do. And as a roadmap item, as growth people, as product people, this is what I would prioritize. And we're gonna uncover what this actually means. And by the way, feel free to shoot questions as we go through the slides. I love kind of engagement as we go, so I'm not just speaking to myself. So anything comes up, if it's not clear or you have question or examples, would love to have that engagement. So just like explaining how can you drive experiments, what does it mean to have AI first? So I think we are seeing more and more that there's an agentic interface that you can deploy into your product. It's not necessarily a bolt-on AI or a chatbot It's more about allowing to have an interface on your product that users can say what they want, and then the agent does. It just operates the product for you. So it's the same set of features, same set of capabilities and workflows, but an agentic way to think about it. If in the past we used checklists, meaning we're trying to educate the user, go here, click there, explanation, creating a lot of cognitive load and what I call click tags. With agentic interface, you can have kind of the agent do the work in tandem with the user, allowing your users to move forward. And I think that is really the big unlock for growth, because you're going to put the best person, which is the AI, in your product to handhold or do the outcome for your customers. So one of the first, if we start with sign up, I think most product treat sign up as a form, but it's the moment to capture the intent, right? There's like three things you need to ask and capture, and which are gonna carry out throughout the product. Obviously, in the past, we've done it because we wanted to measure, but we couldn't really personalize the experience. But today, I think it's more critical than ever because you have AI layers that can benefit from that context. Context is everything. So there's three things you want to ask. Who are you as a person? What's your role? What are the jobs to be done? What are your goals? And what does good look like? So you can do those nice surveys or quiz. You can always do it in a agentic way. But that is the initial context that can feed into your agent as they go into your product. So those are sometimes missed, worth the investment. And we've done it even with Foldspace. As you sign up, we are trying to get those elements done and start with generative experience as well. A quick look at how Claude does that. Again, what's the use case? What's the team name? They're trying to aim towards specific use cases. And then what are you trying to achieve? Those are the elements that are critical to capture, whether you're kind of B2C or B2B. Critical points, both for measurements, but definitely as a context for the first experience as they land into your product. So something to keep in mind, worth investment and even experimenting with this sign-up flow so you can collect the context, because context is before content. As you think about this, the generative experience towards intent, which is replacing the existing checklist and the education part in onboarding, what you want to do is once you have the intent, don't drop them into a blank screen. You want to generate the starting point. For example, Durable builds a whole website from 3 questions showing you the outcomes, lovable and bold. They kind of build you the prototypes, right? They're launching you into that experience. So when you think about your product, what would be a generative elements that customers will feel, oh, that's what your product actually is doing and getting me closer to the outcome. So feel free to kind of share in your case, like what would be that, going back to the first question, if I'm a marketing tool and I'm trying to listen to intent, showing that customer, hey, this is trying to ask the ICP question and generating the first campaign or generating the audiences. If you're an analytics tool, what types of measurement would you like? You can suddenly truly build the first outcome in that experience. So that mind shift and that act one as the new PLG is moving toward generative onboarding toward that intent. It's not 100% of the outcome. When you prompt Lovable, when you prompt all these other tools, even Claude, it's never like you're going to continue to work, but it launches you and makes you understand what is the outcome you can achieve, and gets you 60, 70, 80% off the road to that goal. So we'll see, for example, in Gamma, there's nice launch points when you're allowing to kind of generate from one click the starters. So going and putting the customer in front of it and allowing it to start generating as well. So allowing you to get to that point in the life cycle as they launch with your product. And then the other one is instrumentation. Again, if you don't, obviously, really, really important because we want to tie activation back to where the sign up came from. So obviously tracking the organic, paid, did they come from actually AI as well? Those can be tracked. How many kind of signups or flow came through GPT, Claude, and paid media, organic, those are something to track and starting to pay attention to because you want to make sure that your sign up flow and the website is allowing those, is AI friendly. And then you want to basically declare the use cases that you're solving. And then you want to make sure that you track the context to drive the experience and the experience itself as it comes in. So things to make sure that you do it, you measure that. We want to make sure that you also, once they go and engage with agentic interface, you want to understand the user intent. Because something that is now can uncover a lot is when users start engagement through chat or voice with an agentic interface, you can tap into the user intent, which is very, very powerful as part of the experiments. What did they try to achieve? What were the key questions? What did they ask the agent to build? Those are fantastic way, and you want to make sure that you instrument them because you can be able to tap into demand. So let's look at the generative play. And basically what it means that the product should produce the user's first real outcome and just not show them how, just produce it. So in this case, the generative play, we want to avoid the blank page. And the key is to have the agent generate 80% of the outcome from the baseline. And then if what you can do also is making sure that as an example is to generate those experiences. So if you're a marketing tool, for example, you can start by building the first experience. Was there a question on that?
Yeah, I was just about to say, there's a question. What about users that don't have clear intent for product with high learning curve? Barbara asked. Um, what would you suggest in terms of generating content if they don't know what they want?
Usually, when you're showing them those options, then basically they understand what you're solving for. So you want to make sure that you're doing that because they might just not be the relevant customer. If it's not a PLG play, they just like sign the deal and they sign up, and you have different personas. Again, capturing that intent and outcomes. Showing them different options is good, as you saw with Claude, all lovable. They give you these options. So as a user, it kind of helps you understand what the tool actually is designed to do. So definitely something to think about. And such a key element when we start doing experiments and measuring. If we don't understand who and slice by the persona and outcomes,
Yeah.
we are mixing data together. And I think that is one of the elements we want to understand. Hey, what did you sign up for? Which use cases? Because nobody usually like spends time in a product, especially in B2B. They're coming to get the job done. They have job to be done. If you list them out, and you can make it dynamic based on persona. Most B2B SaaS I know, they have more than one personas, and each persona has 2 to 3 different outcomes. If you capture that, it will help you also measure and run better and better experiments. And if you capture that and pass it to agentic interface, the agent has context. Now they can actually generate something more meaningful towards your outcome. And that's a shift we need to do. Like today, we invest a lot in education of the users and like showing them stuff as opposed to you're going to become agentic AI first. That's going to happen very quickly. and then users going to get used to like prompting and getting things done for them. I'm not saying the visualization goes away. I think no, it's going to be there. The workflows are not going to go away, but the way to get there, I don't think people will go into many menu diving. I don't think people
Mm.
will spend a lot of time like reading your documentation. It's going to be an agent that is helping them get things done, and your product is going to be behind this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Give them the options. I think it goes back to the foundation of understanding your jobs to be done. I think usually most products have 2 to 3 outcomes, like you said, and getting clear on that.
Yeah,
Here's a bunch of other questions.
let's go.
Hopefully the answers. I know Casey mentioned they when they don't know what they don't know. I think that goes back to I think and talking to your users. There are things that we don't know even as PMs and product leaders.
Yeah.
Um, a couple more questions. Maybe you'll answer this later. Feel free to say this will be responded to later. Rahul said, "Do you differentiate between options outside of the agent versus starting the agentic chat and asking the options within the chat? Does it matter?" So the options between outside of the agent chat versus starting agent chat and asking the options with the chat.
Mm. We actually have a couple of tips around that, but I think that we've seen definitely that a clickable elements for whether it's in the chat or not, we've seen that clickable elements within the chat, for example, is it's much easier for users. During that moment, you want to show them the options, and as we saw, Claude is doing that, and others they are showing you those quick quizzes. You click and it continues as opposed to you read and start typing. So that's something to, if you need input, in typing, like we do, for example, I'll show you maybe our funnel. We ask for the product name and start like gathering those elements. But usually, again, you can just build that funnel. And then in the chat, if something is missing, you can continue. But actually things in the chat, not everything is going to be text. People don't really like to read too much.
Yeah.
When we've done a couple of experiments, when the agent answers with a lot of text, they tend to maybe figure out the UI. It's the same as like giving them like a document to read versus them figuring out the UI. Many users try to figure out the UI first before they go and read an article. It's the same with an agent. If
Yeah.
you're too verbose, then they'll try, oh, this is a lot to read. Give me some visualization inside the chat will be fantastic, both for the agent and for the user.
It's good.
Other questions?
Yeah. One last one I see in the chat, same from Barbara. What will be the role of education then in this era of AI? The role of
That's
education.
that's that's amazing question. By the way, what's going to be with our UI? What's going to be the knowledge, the education, right? This is all becoming huge questions. I believe the education is actually becoming more strategic. What I mean is like now agents actually are trying to read this thing. So investing in good content for the agents is even more strategic than ever.
Mm.
Explaining the outcomes, explaining the visualization, explaining everything you have in the product, it's just going to be actually consumed by the agent, where usually with humans, they consume fraction of that. So education changes from user education to agent education.
Mm.
UI is still, we are very much visualization driven creatures. So if I see a dashboard, it's much easier to see what I don't know, and so forth. So I think it's something that it's just like menus are going to be too complicated, but
Yeah.
still you have campaign editor, analytics, reporting, visualization is key, because I'm not sure I'm going to know what to ask unless I see something, a trend, of so forth. So you're not going to throw away many of your screens, because even Lovable, I can see the outcome. I can even click around it. And it's easier for me to click on a date picker versus typing something. So visualization is going to stay there. Deterministic backend is going to stay. Education is going to move towards agents, and really investing in like how do you describe your product. describing what the product solves is so important for the agent, because then they can understand and better articulate to the end user as well. By the way, my camera is frozen, or do you see me?
Oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, it is a
Right.
little frozen.
Let me see if I
Yeah.
can. Interesting. Let me see. Do this. All right.
There it is. That makes sense.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, can I ask a follow-up question to that? You were
yeah.
talking about understanding UI. I've talked
Hmm.
to product leaders in different companies. They're worried about the whole move towards MCP because they're like, why would they come to our product now? Like what's the whole point of UI if MCP all our data is ingested into this? Is that something seems like you're suggesting that the dashboard still gives context. It's still necessary for you to know what to ask. Is what
Absolutely. I think MCP again is another tool, another channel, critical and strategic. For example, we have MCP. So when people build their agent in the agentic interface with Foldspace, the MCP helps them get going, like the skipping some settings, onboarding. So I think in settings and configuration, MCP is great. Adding a Jira ticket is nice, for example, for MCP or pulling some, but eventually it lacks a lot of context. And you basically offload all the decision into the agent coming from the client. So if I'm using actually a weak model, you kind of with MCP, you offload the decision to the client AI, and that's not necessarily going to provide the best answers. Plus, you're losing the context. You have a lot of context from usage, from outcomes, what your
mm,
product can do, and you can decide what type of, based on the question, for example, what kind of knowledge should the agent have. When you do an MCP, you're saying, hey, this is my APIs, and then the agents start doing it. So again, it's great for simple stuff, but context is what matters to AI to drive decisions. So I believe that eventually building your agentic or AI first product is gonna be key, and the visualization and the way you do visualization is gonna be key. Because eventually we want tools to work with. We don't want a chat interface to stay and just like start reading like crazy. So I think that's, by the way, I do see also A2A is the real protocol we were looking for, not
agent to
MC.
agent. Interesting.
Agent to agent, because now
That's interesting.
they split the context. Each agent is focusing on specific outcome. Your product has the uh, set of agents, but I think in the future we'll see more and more maturing of the A2A protocol. So agent can just ask another agent. That other agent is already optimized for your product.
Makes sense. There's one more question, but I think this is something you might answer. How do AI averse users respond to agentic features? And we can save that for later because it seems like that's like how do you deal with users who don't want to talk to you, work this work with a agentic experience. But
Oh, they're always going to click around, but eventually it's also a question like when is the right time? And there's a lot of
mm,
like experiments we're doing with customers. For example, one client went very aggressive and like just shot the messaging inside the agent and start the generative after they got the, like actually Claude does. When you gave it like a use case, it fired a huge prompt and start generating for you to create that habit. And what they found out is after being kind of aggressive for 1 or 2 months, and then they stopped, then people actually got used to that the agent can do, not just answer question. And it become a habit to start using the agentic interface for key use cases that they were looking for. So the way it visualized, the way you engage with users, the more personalized it is, the more contextual it is. Within this moment, can I actually show you a good prompt? Can unlock a lot. So a lot of different experiments led to the fact that users now are getting used to more and more working, even if they're not tech savvy at all, because we have, probably 500 million users now using AI every day, and they're already educated to understand this is actually does not just answer question. We do see that in most SaaS B2B, if we compare how many users ask the agent for question and how many actually ask the agent to do things, we're seeing 70 to 80% of the user are going to the agent because they want the agent to do stuff for them, and only 10 to 20% asking questions, which is amazing in my view. It's like the market is already there, and these are not necessarily a tech-savvy audience. So they really value the outcomes, and they understand that agentic today, the AI will do the work for them. Awesome. I can move forward as well. Let me know if there's other questions. Happy to take them as well. So experiments is something that I'm really passionate about. We all say that we want to run experiments, and then we go to that backlog, and every time we're trying to change something in the product, it's become like really, really cumbersome. So I think with agentic interface, you can actually ship faster. You can measure everything's going on and then iterate within hours. So to me, it's like a massive change to run true experiments, because suddenly you have an interface that is not locked to anything. In the chat, you can put visuals, you can put chat, you can put like voice, you can run different experiments. It's all like a blank canvas as well. So it doesn't require a full release cycle as well. So what we're going to see now more and more is the shift from weeks to hours to design, build, and release experiment through the AI without waiting for a whole release cycle and then wiring the code and then suddenly, dealing with like some testing that is required. In this case, I think the agentic interface is the true unlock. You can look at what users are asking, which is amazing. For the first time, you don't have to have the guessing game. In the past, you would look at page views, clicks, and says, "Oh, I know what they want," and maybe you even gave them a quiz to even know what they sign up. But now, after 2 or 3 or 4 months, they're in your tool, and you're trying to guess and translate page views and clicks into intent. But if they engage through chat, you understand exactly what they're trying to achieve and where they're struggling with, and then you can take action, because usually if you design a good agentic interface, you can deploy new actions, new knowledge, new experiments without actually changing your UI, because it's kind of a dynamic interface. So think about that. It's very, very powerful. And we're seeing how like tracking what the users do, what they say, how is that looking like, and then closing the loop within hours is fantastic. It puts like PMs in a new growth role. Every PM is becoming growth because they can truly now tap into user demand and see what they do, and they can come with facts. In the past, again, coming with clicks, it's harder to defend, but when you come with like user intent, that's pretty powerful. So again, as an experimentation surface, you can change visuals, the layout of the chat, how it starts. Is it more embedded? Is it like floating? Do you proactively trigger that? So a lot of things to experiment, and it could also play with your own UI. It can trigger stuff for them. So a lot of like elements to experiment. And you can even have some of the features built into the agentic UI before you even build that feature. So we have a customer that has like a lot of demand for data analysis for specific reports. They decided not to build their visualization at all and start from the agent, get the question, get visualization in front of the person, and see that they can actually close the loop. If that works, maybe they'll build the UI, maybe not. Usually, it leads to building a UI after you know exactly what to build, because users want to save it and go back to that. There's always going to be a deterministic endpoint, but launching new features into that platform is becoming easier because of the power of visualization inside the chat as well. There's always like the experiment, but you all make sure that you're prompting and you want to make sure that you're ready for that. So one of the elements we invest a lot is versioning, evals, golden set, like when you're now flying in high speed and AI can do anything. As previous question, the knowledge, grounding in knowledge, critical education teams need to be AI education teams because AI is truly reading your content to drive decisions. Versioning any change of prompt is a change of code. So you want to make sure that you're building a EVA's golden sets so you can have a set of tests, and any change you make, you run that and say, did I, am I getting better at outcomes or worse? And then putting guardrails as well. There's a lot of like solutions to have to put in place, hallucination detection, things like that. All goes to a trust layer that you want to leverage as you start scaling. If you suddenly have like 50, 100 different features instrumented in agentic now, this is becoming critical element to allow you to move quickly without the fear of like, oh, I might messed up things and I need to roll back. So versioning allows you to roll back. Each prompt is getting versioned, and the evals are worthwhile. You're testing the user intent. You see if the agent is doing the outcome. It's almost like the QA automation from the past. Now it's more agentic. The role of PMs that understand the user is critical. It's more than usually engineers are not spending as much time with users. PM, growth PM, very customer centric. So you're better at articulating the prompt. You're better articulating what should be the outcome, and you should probably be the ones that are looking at the trust layer and saying, is the agent getting better or worse, and is it actually doing what I wanted to do? So something to keep in mind as you want to move fast. You want to make sure that you're not suddenly creating ambiguity for the agent. I think usually what we saw, by the way, the hallucination is very, very low. Usually it's actually not true hallucination. It's because of the content had ambiguity, because of the prompt was potentially not very clear. So the agent took a decision. So again, the trust layer allows you to understand, hey, where is the knowledge gaps, where is the potential ambiguity, and then fix it and then it makes it much more clear for the agents to operate. The other part is, again, measuring the demand. Again, looking at the conversation insights and what was actually resolved, not resolved. What we say is like clicks, whisper, prompt, yell. So again, when you think about agentic interface, think about what it can uncover for you from demand perspective. So again, part of the experiments is to see or to prioritize. I can now prioritize based on what users are trying to ask for the agent to get done. We have an example from a customer that actually did not have a feature. Users come in and they ask for booking a room. They didn't have that feature yet in that interface, but that obviously led to a prioritization because they saw which customers and the volume of people asking for specific outcomes without even knowing, do you have this feature or not? We have customers that did not have A/B testing, and they are now thinking about that because the user asked for, how do I do A/B testing with your marketing solution? And that is a great point for your prioritization and great data points to take into that. So that is also something I would invest as you think about experimentation and driving roadmap decisions towards growth, because we know the activation depends, did I reach my outcome? Retention, even long-term retention and growth, depends on did I reach the outcome with this tool and how much cognitive load did I had to go through. So again, those are a couple of things that we recommend usually when you start. Action-oriented starters, educating users, things can be done. And personalized starters from the context you collected, moving to embedded, not in their face, knowing when to be in their face, when not to be in their face, proactive prompting. If you have those moments in time and you identify that and users that do this, they actually tend to stay. That can be fantastic. We've seen a couple of statistics, especially in the first 7 weeks of a trial, The more they engage with the agentic interface, the more likely they'll come back. And we've seen also in a very heavy B2B solution that the more users engage with the agent, the more outcome they got. And actually, they spend more time in the product, but not because they were confused, because they got more output from it. So running experiments, understanding how your users prefer to be engaged is great. And a chat can do a lot of things today. Agent and agentic interface can do a lot of things. It can navigate you, it can show you visuals, it can engage. So always not trying to go with one option and just see how users react. It can be telling. Just a quick example, in Mixmax, there's actually an agent that goes in and just operating in each stage helps the user in the moment they need it the most. So those are actually good examples of like, I'm writing content. Can I have an AI that understand my context, understand my performance, understand that? That is a very powerful play to do to help the users exactly when they need it. Another topic is engineering
Oh,
champions. One of the
can I
biggest,
ask a few questions? There's
yeah,
some
sure.
question in the chat.
Yeah.
You were saying something about a set of questions. Rahul is asking a golden set of questions expected from customers and expected answers from the agent. I think that was a few slides back you were giving.
Mhm, mhm. Golden set is you basically create different types of questions for the agent
Mm.
and you provide the expected outcome. So as you move and create more experiments or even just anything you do with your AI, you're saying, hey, this was a prompt and I expect this outcome, whether it's how it should answer or what it should do. You save that into that golden set. The reason it's golden set is it allows you to go back and just run those tests to see that in any new changes, any releases, does that still work? It allows you to test, for example, if you want to switch from Gemini 3.5 Pro to Flash. There's a lot, what we're seeing, for example, there's a lot of emphasis of how fast the AI is answering. Flash is much faster than Pro. Pro can do a lot more reasoning. So the Trust Lab, or if you build and invest in that, allows you to also take that into consideration. If I move them to Flash and it moves faster, did I lose quality? Did the agent now is answering in less elaborative or clear answers? If you see that you didn't lose anything, but you gain speed and obviously cost, it's a good decision. So again, as you start having, and we're going to see more and more AI first, AI native products, that type of elements is not a nice to have because suddenly you have a bunch of prompts behind your features. And prompts is just free text
Mm.
English. People just say some came from engineering, some came from products, some came from education, and now the agent need to figure out very quickly what did you guys mean. And there's so many scenarios, so that is also something to think about and so the golden set is the thing that you say, I really like to run it and I see that the agent actually responded the way I want, so I can now go ahead and deploy the next experiment.
That makes sense. One more question. I think that's related. Would a background would a background orchestration agent be sensible addition that sits across and mediates across other agents to ensure consistency across the suite?
The question is about other agent as well. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, like there's this orchestration agent that's
Hmm.
orchestrating across multiple agents. Is that a
Yeah.
good idea? Bad idea? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing more and more, like you want to build the agents that are very task focused, whether you're specializing in specific things like scheduling drivers, for example, in transportation. You have those like deep knowledge and workflows that you want to have those very context focused agent that if they're getting a task, that they're going to do that task. It's not necessarily 3 seconds. It might be like they do it during the night. They doing, few minutes, but those they have very, very task-specific context and they do it. The other element that gets missed is like there's also a user. The user comes in, they come to get the job done, and they have a lot of context in the conversation. It's a long conversation, they switch use cases. So when you try to orchestrate, the usually the that comes to play. Like, how do you understand conversation and actually trigger the right set of other agents as well? Because you want to carry the context around them. And this is where, you kind of want to see if it's the right thing for you. Agentic interface, that's their job. Like our job is, for example, is to contain, to have that user context, to understand which other agent should we delegate to. But that's a critical thinking. There's a user context and you have the application context. Those are two different things. And you always have like a context window, right? So yes, building a lot of like specialized agent from your business is critical. But orchestration is about the visualization, the user context, making that the knowledge that feeds into that, that's just a different layer. And you want to have both. You want to have both the end user context, real-time engagement. They can ask anything, they can just move around. And you want to have those more, I would say, like the kind of first party data agent from your business that they are now evolving. And when you build that as well, you want to make sure that they all will improve all the time. So signals coming in are critical. Like, what did the user say? Which agents should be operating now? What is the outcome? Was it successful? Because if you're building agents, they have to improve with every user interaction. If user number one comes in and user number 1,000, when user number 1,000 comes in, your agent should operate in a better way. So it's a learning loop if you collect the signals and you use that to train the agents.
Awesome.
So looking at the engineering champions, this is like really important. Again, goes back to the question about the knowledge and the education. If you want to engineer champions into your product where users are coming in and they're basically becoming champions from day one, it means that the agent is educated and grounded with all your best practices. So I would say that knowledge is core part of the agent context, right? So always investing in that, especially around what really drives best practices. I am a user. If I go to a tool and I want to create something, I do not have all the kind of knowledge around like how do I do it the best way? I can go to HubSpot and create a email campaign, but I have no idea, how to do a pre-header and like how is important to reduce the number of links and so forth. I do not have that best practices. I might not have. At Gainsight, we measured like only 10% of the user actually became champions. I also led engineering in Marketo. We saw that most users don't even know the depth of your features. Now with agents, if it's grounded with best practices, the agent will know and suggest the next best action. So knowledge and building that, with like agent-friendly format is going to be critical. And then putting the domain expertise and product knowledge into that, because when the agent triggers a feature, it can trigger just like being without any knowledge, but it can actually put the best practice inside it. And me as a user, I don't even know. When I built an application with Vercel, it might be using the best front end, the best back end. I don't know, right? But I know it. I trust it to make that judgment for me. So again, in your case, engineering champions is not educating users, it's educating the agent how to operate in the best practice way. And totally be done and worth the investment. So again, in my previous book about PLG, we had a huge drop. Customers came in to products and then they became active, but to really retain them, and we're seeing the headwind in SaaS. The churn is dramatic, like in SaaS. Why? Because now I need to figure out a lot of UI, and right now my tolerance is very low. I go to CRMs or marketing automation. It's a lot of menu diving, a lot of learnings, and that is blocking me for getting the outcome. So there's a drop. And if you want customers to stay and grow, you need to make them champions. And I think the only way is not necessarily to try, and we've tried to educate them. We tried tooltips, we tried customer success, hand holding, calling them, holding their hands, but eventually, if the product does not generate that outcome and just saves me uh, the cognitive load of learning every set of features, you're going to get them there without them even knowing. And we are seeing that again with the AI first products that are getting you to the outcome better and better. And that's something that will allow you to go from like negative growth or NRR to super positive. And I think we're going to see if the golden standard today is like 140% NRR for AI first, that is going to become like the baseline. It's going to be because again, margin, everything goes away because everything is getting much, much better when you truly deliver that experience to your end users. So few tactics to make it real. How do you start? How do you map those things? What we call it click tags as well. So quick tips about this. One, you want to understand you want to map the personas that you have towards the outcome. And a click tags means that this is what they need to go through towards that outcome. What you want to turn it into is the AI native or AI first way. So if there's like a setup thing to generate something, try to kind of make it from intent, prompt, and towards outcome where the agent is kind of eliminating the click tags and removing the cognitive load, allowing the users eventually to fine tune and get exactly what they want. And that can be with clicks, but just save them that moment when they say, "How do I do it? Where do I find it? It took me a lot of time," as opposed to, "Oh, great, this is the email campaign I want to send. Let me just review," and then focus on what matters a lot. So, a great table to have. Map your onboarding click tags. You can basically put the personas and then jobs to be done, and then just to describe in words what do they actually need to go through towards the outcome, and then describe what an agentic path should look like. What can the agent do? Where are the points that you're asking a user to take a decision? I signed up. Suddenly you're asking me to choose some options, and I don't even know. I just signed up. That is where the cognitive loads comes in, and you want to eliminate that. So in the past with PLG, we want to streamline onboarding, remove friction points. I think if you do that with an agent, those friction points are gone. It's basically done by the agent informing the user, but mapping that as a prioritization and eliminating click tags is a great way to start. Is there other questions?
There's a question at the end. I don't know if you want to answer it now on PLG tools. Yeah, but we can see.
So what teams are seeing with agentic, couple of like stats, anonymized stats, again, retention, the more they engage with agents inside the product, day one, day seven, time to value drops dramatically. Increase of retention goes up dramatically. So again, feature activation doubling as well as the agent can now operate based on intent. The more you invest, it's a really strong numbers, and it makes sense, right? Because it's not even a fair fight to try to maybe revamp your UI versus let me just put an agent and then have the things done, and then I'm going to revamp only the parts that it requires users to engage with click based. So I'm happy to also show how we took that into practice. If anyone wants to kind of throw a product name, I can show you, for example, how in Foldspace we've invested in just a sign up process as well. So if you want to throw just any product name, I'm happy to do it as well. Do we have a product name maybe? Or we can do something like can do Monday as
Oh,
well.
Monday.com. Yeah. So
That can be
that's fun.
something. Monday has a lot of different products as well, but we can just like um, so one, we kind of want to start generating. In the past, we launch you into a UI and you need to figure out and settings and so forth. Now I'm trying to say, hey, Monday.com. And then I would basically say, hey, I want to actually start building your AI first experience. So moving more and more towards I'm going to generate because I don't want to teach you how to train it on knowledge. So those are what we saw as cognitive load click tags in Foldspace, and we just remove that and become more agentic. So now I can see as a customer of Monday, for example, hey, create a bullet from description. Those are kind of activation use cases. Those are, for example, adoption use cases. Those are stickiness use case. So we kind of remove the cognitive load. We are showing what outcomes can be done. Every product can do this. Every product wants to kind of say, hey, how do I launch you to the best path? How do I show you outcomes? So if you're generating audiences, if you're Clay, for example, we can say, hey, I want to build audiences for you. Give me your ICP, build it with the customer. If you're a sales engagement tool, if you're, measurement tools, you want to do those things and just start generative. That is where the setups goes away. The setup is the big hurdle in your solution. So setup can go away with a great quiz and agentic interface. Post setup, now there's the meaty place. Now I'm ready to, so I can go here, for example, and I can also train on the knowledge. Again, I'll skip for now, but it now shows me that it is building the agent for me. So we just skip the setup just right there, and I have the agent almost ready for you to play around with. So again, this is why I'm asking, like, this is the setup can be automated and engage with the best practice, showing the customers what the outcome looks like. Once you launch into the product, this is the meaty part. So in the setup, you can make it go away, all the complexity, mapping what they need to achieve. But now, as a daily user, it's beyond setup. Now I'm in the tool, and this is where you guys are building more and more experiments, experiences, building the agents to go and do the work as well. So going back, the playbook in 3 lines. Hopefully this was a useful session for you guys, but having more experiment approach to experimentation to agentic interface, it means you want to move fast, you want to learn fast, you want all the observability you can get, anywhere from like session replay to tracking things. You want to see what the users do. The user intent is a gold mine. So having that agentic interface is a huge unlock. If you make all the settings for it, you know what's going on, you can test it, you can see it, you can react to it. And if you made a mistake, very easy to fix because it's an agentic interface. It's not, it just takes one click to deploy it. And then activation compounds. If you think about agentic interface running experiments, you're going to drive outcomes and you go deeper and deeper into that. And I think activation compounds if you follow that rule, like you capture the intent, generate outcomes. You capture the intent before with PLG, but now instead of trying to make them click somewhere so they maybe understand your product, you can make the product work for them. And that's the key. That's AI first. That's where we're going into. And being agile to me, is the true unlock. When you have an agentic interface, it allows you to do it, and it all grounded in your existing features workflow. So I'm super excited about really running experiments, become so much more data driven and having more informed roadmap because I can tap into user demand. So this is why I encourage you to always prioritize agentic first because you're going to get so much information from users and you can drive. And today with AI and the pace of models and how smart they become, you can turn your product AI first within weeks, not months and not years. And frankly, that's what's happening today in the market. Those AI first companies are just like growing through the roof. And I feel like there's a lot of companies out there just staying behind and And that's going to be kind of important for you to kind of make that move. So happy to see if there's other questions. I know we have like 1 more minute, so I'm happy to
Yeah,
take them.
I do have this one question I saved at the end. This is from Barbara. What do you think is the future of PLG tools that we have been using? You mentioned Pendo and user flow. Is it still a very manual it's still a very manual implementation?
Right. So I think so I was the founder of Gainsight PX. It's equivalent to Pendo and others used by huge brands today. So it has analytics, it has the walkthroughs and checklists and you name it and surveys. I think that will be potentially going away because again, if users has to learn your UI, you might be a one competitor away being disrupted. I don't think that as a user, I want to go and start like going through a checklist. I get into your product. Now I'm going to kind of be a checklisted and I need to go through these steps to go and manually configure. That is less effective. When we measure that, even at Gainsight, we saw that 90% of the users, as soon as pop-ups, doesn't matter what it is, first they X because that came to your product to do something. So walkthroughs are limited. They're still very valuable, for example, for specific feature activation to show, hey, did you notice this button? But imagine that you're moving towards AI, you're going to ask for outcome. The agent already knows if it needs or not, doesn't need to use the new feature you just released. So I think that's going to be a big shift. I think that clicks and page views are very hard to decipher. I would definitely think that, intent analytics is going to be something that is giving you the answer you were looking for. So they're probably going to start changing their tools quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a huge shift happening in the industry. And I think it also comes with the user expectation. You've said this before, Mickey. People are expecting the ChatGPT and Claude has changed the expectation. And I think the click tax is costing more taxes. People not.
Absolutely. I think that, one thing we just want to measure, as we did in the past few years, like how many people actually continue beyond the first walkthrough step, or how many actually went ahead and just check all the boxes. Um, Very few, very few.
Yeah. I know we're
Um,
at time. Mickey, I just want to thank you so much. And the people who showed up to ask a lot of questions. The engagement here is super high. I appreciate you for showing up. Keep you posted for the next workshop we're hosting. But Mickey, this has been great. I appreciate you once again for taking time to share us this.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thanks a
All right.
lot.
All right. Bye
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Talk to you
Bye
soon.
bye.